A decision was made at potato headquarters to plant the swifts in this bed because the beans are bigger. The beans are bigger. And something interesting, I had my little temperature probe in here the other day, and this soil 4 inches down was 3 degrees warmer than this soil that has got no fleece on it. So that is a bit of a surprise, that the fleece has maintained a higher temperature in here. Let's go. What I've got here is a little bit of that leaf mould that I've taken out the paths. Good mycorrhizal in there. So I'm going sort of one there, one there, one there, only about 4 or 5 inches off the alleged edge of the path. This is as deep as I go, just sort of make a hole. I use a fork because if I use a trowel I'll end up cutting up worms. Not seeing any wireworms in here yet. The soil's lovely down here, really nice. Nice structure to it. Even though the top is dry, you can see at depth there's plenty of moisture there, loads of moisture. So let's see how deep am I there. There's the soil surface. I'm that deep, which is about 7 inches, I'd say, something like that. So all I'm going to do is drop a little bit of that wood chippy stuff in the bottom there. Put my chits upwards, don't really matter. And I'm going to put a handful of the mycorrhizal back on, and that's the first spud in, and that is it, guys. Not worried about frost at the minute. The only time you have to worry about frost is when these tops come through, and when they do come through, you can simply, if there's a frost forecast, you can simply pile some compost around the top, some straw over the top, pull the soil over the top, just protect those little shoots as they emerge from frost, and you're fine. I do that actually. If there's a frost forecast and the tops are just coming up, I will just pull some soil or put soil on top of them, and then I will also put a fleece on top just to keep the ground a bit warmer. But I'm not going to bore you guys with going right down the entire bed planting potatoes. We'll just do this one. See if we spot a wireworm in here. I don't think we will, because this bed had mustard in it, and wireworms do not like mustard. There's a lot of this plastic stuff in here. This must be some membrane that was previously in this ground. It's the strands off that weed membrane. Because I've never gone that deep into the soil with this stuff. This weed membrane has only ever laid upon the surface, so it's obviously a previous owner who put that down there. Again, about 7 inches deep. Bit of that. One of them. And a bit of that. And we have number 2. And I'll be back in just a second when I've got all these planted in. Right, there we go. 30 little baby swift potatoes in. Swift and beans. These beans have, the reason I put the swift in this bed is because these beans have tilled now. So they're putting out 2 and 3 little shoots on the bottoms. I'll just show you. Yeah, you can just see there, they've got all these new little shoots coming out the base. So really nice. Another one on that one there. Another one there. looking really healthy. First Swift of 2025. Let's get the fleece on. So there we go. The Swift and beans are in the new house, framed up. See how long that fleece lasts against this weather. It's from last year, that fleece. It's got a few holes in it from where the rats were chewing it over winter, but if it does get destroyed, that I'm going to put a new piece of fleece on anyway. Right, onward and upward. Right, I'm just going to make a few wheat traps to see what the wireworm situation's like in the potato beds this year. So this works really well at finding how many wireworms you've got, because as the wheat germinates, it gives off carbon dioxide that the wireworms are attracted to, so they head towards it and they munch on the roots of the wheat, and you can then capture them. I like using this scaffold netting because they kind of crawl through this stuff and they end up inside the net sort of thing, or they get stuck in this netting sometimes as well. And this little trap will work in an area of about a square metre, so for a square metre surrounding it, you'll pull in all the wireworms. I've just got a good handful of soil in there. I've put a bit of soil on there, and I'm going to put like 3 handfuls of this wheat in that compost. Just mix it up good and proper. Obviously, if you ain't got wireworm problems, you don't need to watch this. You will also find loads and loads of worms attracted to this for the same reason. So I'm just going to put a little bit of that. I'll just put a good bit of that on. I've got enough there for about another 2 traps, so I've only got these 4 bits of netting at the minute. But that's all you do. And then what you do, you just kind of bundle this up. Like so, in that little ball. Like so. Put a bit of string around that. Plant it. Just dig a little hole in the soil about 4 inches deep. Put that in. You can leave the net just sticking out the top a little bit so you can find it again. But what you must do, well, what I must do here, I must put a couple of bricks on top of this, because the rats will also smell it, and the mice, and then they'll dig it out and eat all the wheat. Right, in the end of these potato beds, those 4 wheat bags, I'm just going to plant them here. So I'm just going to put them here somewhere. 1 in the end of each bed. I'm just going to have a look and see how bad the wireworm situation is. So there's the bag with the wheat and the little bit of compost in it. And that's deep enough there. That's all you got to do. Just do that. Then I have to put a net on, bit of wire netting on, because the rats will dig that up if I don't. And then a brick, and that's it. Now I'll come back and check in about probably 10 days, because that wheat should be sprouting and growing by then. And I'll just check for wireworms. I'll dig the bag out, just pull the bag out, have a look around in the soil around the root ball and in the net. If I don't see any, I'll just put it back, and any wireworms I do attract or collect, I'll just put them on the bird table. But I'll know from that, because that will cover an area about 1 metre around here, and I'll know if there's a bad wireworm problem in this soil. If there is, I'll put quite a few of these bags, scatter them about in the bed, and just try and collect as many as I can. When we planted those Swift potatoes, we didn't find a single wireworm in that bed, and we've just dug 30 holes in there, which is good, because I was finding a lot more last year. That bed's hadn't previously had a crop of mustard in it, and they do say that mustard repels wireworms, and maybe it's done the job. Hopefully this had mustard in as well. We'll see. So you can just leave these bags in until the wheat actually starts to grow. When the wheat gets about 2 inches tall, it's already putting a lot of roots into the soil then, and you pretty much will have gathered up any wireworms that are surrounding it. But the last 2 years ago, I had as many as maybe 12, 15 wireworms around 1 wheat bag over a 1 week period. Anyway, I'll bring you back and I'll show you when I dig this up in about 10 days, 2 weeks time, when the wheat starts to grow, put its roots out, pumps out carbon dioxide, the wireworms can smell it. There's 2 people up there, just want feeding. Going over to the shed. I've just got this bed ready for the carrots to go in. First sowing of carrots too, Sean. I was thinking of doing them today actually, but I'm going to leave it for at least till the end of the week. There's a cold spell coming tonight, -2 or 3 here. So it won't do any harm holding off for a day or 2. I'm going to sieve the surface of this, just, you know, the top ½ inch of surface, because a lot of bits of stone and wood chip and all kinds of stuff in. I put compost on this bed in September last year between some cauliflowers that were in, and as that's broken down, it's just left all the stones on the surface. So I just want to take them out, really. Not very big stones, but I don't like them being in the soil for when you're growing things like carrots. If the stones get worked down deeper into the soil and the carrot roots hit them, then they're going to go around them and get wobbly carrots. Anyway, that's the potatoes in. I'm pleased with that. The first planting of the year, the Swift, 30 Swift. Got the wheat traps in. There's also 20 Swift growing in the Polytunnel in 5 buckets, and I'll show you them now. They were planted in December, I think the 17th, 20th of December, something like that. They're doing really well, those. Oh, they are doing so well, they really are. Again, grown in wood chip and homemade compost. A little bit of rock dust sprinkled in, volcanic rock dust. Looking beautiful they are. And they've really come on this last week because we've just had some sunshine for a change. Temperatures have been getting up into the 20s here in the day, but sadly at night we're dropping down to 1 and sort of -1. I've just been covering them with a bit of fleece. Now what I've done, I've moved worm B&B to the end of the polytunnel here, and I've discovered that worms absolutely adore courgettes and squashes. So we've had no escapees here, guys, none at all. But it's worm fever in here. I'm going to put that big rotten courgette in there for them. I actually want to save a few of these seeds as well. This is arguably the best way to store your seed, by the way. Leave the fruit whole, and then take the seed out just before you're ready to sow. I'm not ready to sow courgettes yet, but the worms are ready to eat them. Worm B&B is looking good. I don't really collect vermicompost as such. The only reason I have this little reservoir of worms is when I'm making my compost, because I can take a handful of these once it's gone through the hot stage, the thermophilic stage, and gets into that mesophilic stage. I can put a handful of worms in the heap and they just absolutely thrive and multiply in it. So that's kind of the only reason I have it. And I've finally finished the fence. So pleased. Sick of digging out bricks and concrete from around the old posts, but it's done. All the wire netting's on. Brilliant. As you can probably see, my ducks are back. Mrs. Duck and Mr. Duck, they've returned. They're currently sitting down by the fence. They just kind of spend all day here. But I noticed last year when she started laying eggs that she was riffling through the edges of the beds everywhere looking for slugs. Brilliant slug catchers, ducks. Right, your next video will be seeds. I'm just sowed a load of seeds at home. You'll probably be watching this on Wednesday. I've already sowed a load of seeds yesterday at home. I've videoed that. I'll show you what I've sowed. I'll also show you the progress of the seedlings in the polytunnel. A lot of seedlings in there. But I've put my warmer stuff out at the moment. It all got sowed yesterday. I'll show you exactly what that is. And then of course I'll be back when those Swift break surface and when I dig up the wheat traps. Right guys, it's going cold now. I can feel it. There's not a cloud in the sky, so it is going to drop tonight. Bye for now.